Direct Connection is made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities and is made possible by the generous support of our members. Thank you. Live from Maryland Public Television, this is Direct Connection with Jeff Salkin.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for Direct Connection. Coming up tonight, Dr. Gridlock will tell us how to fix the region's biggest beltway delays. But first tonight, the 37-year delay in finding a new super horse is over with the Triple Crown victory of American Pharoah. Joining us to talk racing and the future of the Preakness is Sal Sinatra, General Manager of the Maryland Jockey Club. Sal, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
You were at Belmont.
Yes, I was fortunate enough to be there and fortunate enough to participate in the Triple Crown trophy presentation.
You have good seats for the race?
Yeah, up in the Belmont room, but I had to go down to the winner circle and see it with everybody else on the asphalt because I had to be close to that winner circle should it have happened. So, and it did, and it was a real nightmare to get into the winner circle.
What was it like? What was the atmosphere when everybody realized coming down the stretch, what we're seeing now, it looked like maybe somebody would catch up, but pretty quickly became apparent that he was going to run away with it.
Yeah, everybody had like Frosted, who was in second at this point, who was a closing horse. But as American Pharoah started drawing off, the roar got louder and louder, and the screams and cheers, and it was incredible. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
You told me you've been to some big sporting events before.
Yeah, I've been to the Super Bowl, Game 7 Stanley Cup, World Series, countless Breeders' Cups, Kentucky Derby, everything. Nothing comes close. The only thing close to this for me was Smarty Jones winning the Derby, and that's only because it was a personal friend. But this was incredible. What
does this mean for the future of racing?
Well, the nice thing is the owner is prepared to run this horse a few more times this year. And usually when this happens, the horse is generally retired. So I'm really looking forward to some momentum going into the summer. You're looking at maybe Monmouth Park for the Haskell, possibly Saratoga for the Travers, and ultimately the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland. And I think we should, as an industry, get a little bit of pickup because this horse is genuinely a true champion, a true test. I mean, he was the second fastest Belmont in history.
They must have a really good insurance policy to take the risk and possibly lose the stud fees.
Right, that's usually the concern because good policy is about 10% of the value of the horse. So you're talking several $1 million.
Right, absolutely. Now, before this, so we had decade after decade of nobody being able to win the Triple Crown, and all the talk was focused on the way horses are bred, the way horses are trained, the delay or lack of a delay between, especially the Preakness and the Belmont, and the idea that horses skip the Preakness and their trainers put them in just for the Belmont, and they come in fresh.
Yeah, and there's still two sides to that, but it takes a true champion. It's been done now for the 12th time in history. I know it's been a 37-year delay, but it was 25 before Secretariat won it, and then there was 3 in the 70s. So, we may be onto something. We may see 2 more in the next decade, which would be really cool.
I'm obviously no expert on this, but the idea that in the quarter-mile splits, American Pharoah was picking up speed.
Yeah,
the last quarter was faster than the preceding, and so on.
Yeah, he was faster than Secretariat's final quarter, but ultimately, time-wise, Secretariat would have beat him 15 lengths.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about racing or the Preakness or the future of the Preakness, you can give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. You could also tweet a question. Our Twitter address is @MPT News. So before the Belmont, a lot of talk and executives of your parent company, parent of the Maryland Jockey Club, talking about potentially moving the Preakness from Pimlico to Laurel, which you also own. What would the purpose of that be?
Well, I think what happened is our parent company, the Stronach Group, has Santa Anita, Gulfstream, a couple other racetracks, and both Santa Anita and Gulfstream are healthy. They put a lot of investment into it, and now focuses on Maryland. Maryland has the Preakness. It's a wonderful racing state. Horses are beloved down here, and we're looking to invest sizable amount of money. Both of those facilities are old. You're looking at either Pimlico, unfortunately, is built on the ground, so you're looking at a total rebuild, basically knocking down Pimlico and rebuilding it. Laurel's bones are pretty good, so I could add to that. I can add skyboxes, modernize it, and the location of Laurel is what's got most of our members, and then obviously what's going on in Baltimore we get a close eye on. it's difficult if you're going to spend upwards close to $500 million and where you're going to pluck that money.
It didn't seem to impact this race. You had record attendance.
Yeah, no, and this is my first one being in charge of it, and I was astounded by it. I get the People's Party. The horsemen that come really enjoy Baltimore. They enjoy the party we throw. You basically have the stuffy Kentucky Derby, very expensive, which nets probably $55 million for Churchill Downs. We come to the People's Party with the concerts and the Mug Club and all that going on, but we treat the people as Maryland does. Very, very well. And they look for almost a breath of fresh air coming to us. And then you go to New York, which New York is New York. It's tough to get in, it's expensive and all that. But so that little niche being the People's Party, it works, and it works really well at Pimlico. Yeah.
So the question is, can you pick it up? If politically you'd be allowed to do it, could you pick it up, move it to Laurel, and have it be the same? I don't know.
think it could be the same, only because, well, to an extent, you have to have the music now. It's expected. It's a rite of passage for teenagers and 20-somethings. We still, I know you want to have the skybox and such. Preakness nets probably between $5 and $8 million.
Where you said the Derby did 10
55.
times? Yeah.
There's no reason we shouldn't make 20 to 25 on it, but we don't have the facilities that Churchill has. They've modernized it. They've added skyboxes and chandelier rooms and such like that people were willing to pay a substantial amount of money for, up towards like $36,000 for a table. I'm not saying that's what we want to do, but.
You talked about the difficulties in the neighborhood, and you mentioned before the program you had an employee shot this weekend.
Sunday morning.
Hadn't heard of this. What happened?
I'm still getting details, but one of our security personnel for the stable area was fatally shot multiple times, like 12 times. We do dress them in uniform. I don't know if it was a robbery. I don't know if they thought he was a police officer. I really don't have any details on it, but it hit us pretty hard. He was a young fellow, 23 years old, living with his grandmother, and the entire company's heartbroken over it. He was a wonderful kid, and it's
nobody around at the time.
No, he was just late for work because he was early 5:30 shift, and a friend of his from the barn area was wondering where he was and went looking, and I just saw and ran towards him. Apparently, he was shot at as well, so he made it back to the barn area. So, those things are what weighs on thinking about investing into Pimlico. Prior to the Preakness, 90% of my conversations with the media was because of the riots. And I was sure we would be fine, and we were fine. Because I also believe a lot of the media outside of our state were showing just things burning and stuff, not the quiet protests. But if you look in the paper every day, the number just keeps going up on people being shot. And it's scary.
Let's take a phone call here from Anne Arundel County. This is David. David, thanks for the call. Go ahead.
Hi, Jeff. First-time caller in. I want to call about the Maryland racing. It's what they did when they established out in Hanover, Maryland Live. They may have made a mistake there. Instead of putting the slots in the raceway together, probably at Laurel Racecourse would have been a better idea with the amount of land they have out there. And I think it would have drawn a lot of more patrons and been better for the state. So far, I haven't seen too much, revenue towards the good of the state of Maryland.
David, thank you very much for the phone call. That brings us to a good topic, and that is the. There we go. That is the flow of money. So before, you were still working in Pennsylvania, there was a huge, long-standing debate about slots at the racetracks here. Ultimately, we got casinos, not at the racetracks, but some of the money, as you know, is dedicated for purses. Right. How does that work? How does it benefit you?
Well, my opinion, I just came from a racetrack that has a casino. Parks basically used to be Philadelphia Park. Being a racing guy, I actually like the setup in Maryland better. The setup in Maryland is the casino's not on the property, but do contribute a subsidy towards the purses for the horsemen. My reason being, as racing manager, my focus is barn area racetrack grandstand, the fans of racing. Coming from Parks, we have a casino there. If I needed a carpenter to fix a barn wall, well, he's setting a table up in the casino. If I needed to, September, I had California Chrome against Bayern, I had Untappable in the same card. That's a card you want to advertise, but you don't want to do too much because I don't want to block all the roads for people getting into the casino. You know, and it was always a loggerhead with management teams. Basically, casinos is a license to print money. Racing's a very expensive sport. You know, you've got, you know, the racetrack being worked on all night long. You got the barn with the horses, water, electric, and the grandstand.
Yeah, I mean, one advantage of the casino being there is that it looks like a more vibrant enterprise.
It does, and I think that's what Frank Stronach wants to do at like a Gulfstream. Gulfstream's a whole community, a village. We got shopping, we have bars, nightclubs. That place is alive 24/7. They have a couple of rooms with some slots, but the slots will lose there.
Yeah. One thing that would affect if there's eventually a debate about moving the Preakness to Laurel, and the state would have a say, and even if the state didn't have a say, the amount of slots money that goes to racing isn't guaranteed in the state constitution. I mean, the legislature could change it, so they have considerable sway.
Sure, absolutely. But I believe there's a 10-year deal that I'm aware of. You know, we're probably in year 3, I believe, right now.
Right.
So yeah, the money could go away, but my job and my horseman's job is to make that subsidy become an investment. If I can raise handle, if they breed more horses, if racing becomes vibrant, to me, that's not a subsidy. The governments or the casinos have invested in racing, and we brought a return back to the state, and that's what we're trying to do.
Let's go out to Talbot County. This is Patrick. Patrick, thank you for the call. Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, you're on.
Yeah, my question is that I've been to Belmont and I've been to Pimlico a number of times, and I've not been to Kentucky Derby, but it's apparent by watching it on television that the Pimlico track just doesn't stack up to the class and the color of those other two trucks. And I think he's kind of, Mr. Sinatra seems to have come very close to touching upon that, but I think that a move to a better track and more support by the state would be in order.
Patrick, thank you for the call. We're obviously not talking about the track surface. You're talking about the grandstand and all that.
Yeah, both facilities are aged. I mean, and that's where our company's at right now, trying to figure out where are we going to invest the money to make it that grand theater for the race.
The track itself, Laurel versus Pimlico, is one bigger than the other? Is there a difference that would impact the way the Preakness is run?
No, both can handle a mile and 3/16. Laurel is a bigger surface. It's a mile and 1/8 dirt track, where Pimlico is a mile dirt track. Basically, 6-7 years ago, we invested $20 million in both surfaces, turf and dirt, at Laurel. So it has the upgraded dirt and turf courses with the drainage and the sprinkler system on the turf course. So putting on a weekend event or a festival will be much easier with those two track surfaces.
Let's get one more phone call. Prince George's County, this is James. James, thank you for calling. Go ahead. James, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, you're on.
Great. Yeah, I'd just like to know what sources of public funds would be made available for improvements at either Pimlico or Laurel.
Thanks very much. So there is the subsidy for the purses. If you wanted to, if everybody wanted you to put $50 million into a new grandstand, is that your money? Is that state, or could there be some?
Our money. Basically, it'll be bonds we would have to float to do that. I mean, there is RIFRA money out there for some capital improvements, but nothing substantial enough to redo a whole grandstand.
30 seconds left. What's coming up at the track? Pimlico's done with live racing for the year, but Laurel's just getting started.
Yeah, we're actually going to run in July. July 3rd was we reopen at Laurel. We're going to do festival weekends, twilight racing on Fridays, bands, buffet. I figure it's like date night. Saturday racing, Sunday's going to be family day with some pony rides, face painting, bouncy things, and try and get the family day on Sunday.
Good stuff. Sal Sinatra, General Manager of the Maryland Jockey Club. Sal, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations again.
Thank you.
A lot of fun. Just ahead tonight, are you tired of traffic? Our next guest might have some tips for you. We'll be right back.
Tonight on MPT.
Do you know me?
Of course we know you. Who could ever forget Pavarotti? And how his singing thrilled us for 50 years. Now some of his greatest performances thrill anew in a program that celebrates his amazing voice. Delight in Pavarotti, a voice for the ages, only on Great Performances.
Tonight at 8 on MPT.
Here's
Chesapeake at the next Chesapeake Collectibles.
This is a collector's dream.
Wow, great buy for 50 bucks.
Great buy for 50 bucks.
For your $5 investment, you've walked away with somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 in value.
What's unusual about this set is to have the entire set. Have you ever had this appraised? Wow.
I'm Jeff Salkin. Join me next time for Chesapeake Collectibles.
Thursday night at 8 on MPT.
Tonight on MPT2.
It's a beautiful old American road, the Lincoln Highway.
The longest thing in America.
There's a lot of history out there on that road if they'll just pay attention.
It's more down to earth.
Still an adventure to drive that road.
There were times when even with a horse and wagon, you couldn't get around very well. So now you could go all over.
Just travel the Lincoln Highway and forget the interstate.
So come on, we're taking a ride along the Lincoln Highway.
Tonight at 8 on MPT2.
Joining us now is Robert Thompson, also known as Dr. Gridlock, columnist for The Washington Post. Robert, thanks for coming by.
My pleasure, Jeff.
You wrote recently a story in the Post about the west side of the Capitol Beltway. Headline was, "Hey, Maryland, it's your turn to ease congestion on the Capitol Beltway." So Virginia's been making a big investment on their side.
My readers are tired of hearing me talk about Virginia, but that's where all the action is these days in transportation, both on the highways and on the rail, because they're the ones with the Silver Line. They're the ones who extended Metro. But they've also done a lot of work on the Beltway. They've got a huge project in the planning stages now on I-66. Come on, Maryland.
So, and what happens is now you have more lanes on the Virginia side. It's always been a bottleneck where you're coming towards the Legion Bridge, inner loop of the Beltway, afternoon rush hour. Good luck.
It's a colossal jam. People have to give themselves an extra hour to get home to Maryland. If say they're working in Tyson's Corner, it's just ghastly. And the Virginia express lanes helped folks, but they end well before you get to the Legion Bridge. And after that, you got to get across the Legion Bridge, you got to squeeze down through the Bethesda part of the Beltway or peel off for I-270 up toward Rockville and Frederick. It's awful.
What's the long-range solution? There's been talk, people in Montgomery County, or at least leaders in Montgomery County, have never wanted to see another crossing of the Potomac west of the Legion Bridge. Does that change at some point?
Oh, it's possible.
There's Waits Ferry, I'm sorry, but a bridge.
Yes. There's always talk of that, but most of the talk in recent years has been on the Virginia side. Maryland, as you say, is pretty much determined not to let that happen. But there's plenty of other stuff that can be done. You can upgrade the Legion Bridge, you can upgrade the Beltway, and there are short-term things and long-term things you can do. Short-term things, Jeff, would be like making a reversible lane. You can restripe basically what you've got now and make a reversible lane to follow the rush hour flow. You can extend the pavement between the ramps so that in effect you create an extra lane. That's short-term stuff, not all that expensive. Long-term, you're talking some serious dollars, like somewhere in the range of $6 billion to fix the whole Beltway.
How do you feel about these? I guess Virginia has done it, Maryland has done it on 95 north of Baltimore City, north side of the Baltimore Beltway, headed up towards White Marsh. The new detractors call them Lexus lanes. I guess technically they're HOV lanes?
They are
HOT lanes, I think.
There's a distinction here that many of my readers have trouble following. Maryland doesn't do hot lanes. Maryland doesn't do high occupancy toll lanes. Hot lanes means that carpoolers get to ride for free. Nothing like that in Maryland. That's only on the Virginia side of the river. I think that's probably something that Maryland would want to look at for the Beltway. It encourages carpooling. So they're not just Lexus lanes. You can ride for free if you can get two buddies.
So what Maryland is doing is a pure Lexus lane.
If you want to go that route, I think that those lanes, like the express toll lanes north of Baltimore that you're talking about can be very effective. And the folks at the Maryland Department of Transportation think that that set of lanes is working out pretty well so far.
How's the ICC doing?
ICC is doing fine. Now, you won't hear my readers say the same thing. They'll say, this is a disaster. I keep driving on this road and I don't see anybody else there.
Right.
But that's the thing, Jeff, about congestion in a region like ours. If people don't see congestion, they think there's something wrong. And there really isn't anything wrong with the intercounty connector. It's doing what it was supposed to do. And if it was congested on the first day, there would be something wrong, because that thing's supposed to last for a few decades.
Let me remind our viewers, if you have a question about traffic and transit, give us a call. We'll have the number up on the screen. The thing I wonder about with the toll lanes next to the free lanes, the proletariat lanes, we'll call it, it seems anti-democratic in a way, that the Lexuses and other people with means are on one side. Maybe it's the single parent on the other side stuck in traffic. And the question about whether it incentivizes the government, the transportation authorities, to leave it congested over there to maximize the toll revenue.
Oh, that's an excellent point you're making there. That's what bothers me the most about those lanes, isn't that they're tolled. I think actually that's the way of the future. What bothers me is that, in effect, you're creating an incentive for congestion in the regular lanes to have people choose the lanes that they'll be tolled for. Yes, that's a potential problem in the long run.
Let's grab a phone call. Prince George's County. This is Fitsum. Thank you so much for the call. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Yeah, my question is, I moved to PG County about 2 years ago, and when they are repaving the roads, it takes months at a time. And when I was in Fairfax, it took 3-4 weeks, and they repaved lane by lane. But now I drive on Branch Avenue every day, and the pavement has been removed about 4 to 5 weeks ago, and we don't know when it's going to be completed. We have no idea. And I've seen a lot of cars getting flat tires.
Yeah. Thank you very much for
why it takes so long.
Thank you, sir, for the phone call.
As Fitsum knows, it takes a really long time to get a paving job done in our region when you have to maintain the flow of traffic. Most of the paving done in our area by the Maryland State Highway Administration is done at night, and I've been out with those work crews at night.
Really?
They do a really good,
yeah,
dangerous job. And people really need to be careful around those work zones. But I've been out there with them when a thunderstorm rolled through, and they had to call off the work for the whole night. You just can't do the paving process under certain conditions. And there's a fairly narrow window of temperatures and weather conditions under which you can proceed. And it's very frustrating for commuters who don't go through that. They just see the results or the lack of results.
Here's an interesting tweet. Why is there no separate, independent regional transit authority to overcome area boundaries, et cetera? We need it.
Oh, I completely agree with that. I think that's
it would have to
very
have
much
taxing
lacking.
power.
It would have to have taxing power, and I think that probably the big issue, Jeff, is the governance issue. Exactly how are you going to constitute such an authority as that? People in the D.C. region have plenty of complaints about Metro.
And you just wrote about the Metro board struggling to find a new general manager.
Sure, those are unelected people, or at least they're not elected specifically to be members of the Metro board. And so they appear to be very distant. A problem with a regional transportation authority would be similar. You'd have people saying, oh, the authority just doesn't care a bit about what we actually think we need. People need to be included in the planning process if you're going to go that way.
So we'd substitute one political nightmare for another potentially.
There's that potential, yes, absolutely.
You can read Dr. Gridlock, Robert Thompson's work in the Washington Post, WashingtonPost.com. Thank you for braving the traffic and coming out to Owings Mills.
Always a pleasure.
Good to see you. Thank you very much. Coming up Thursday at this time on Your Money and Business, could popular TV shows filming in Maryland be on their way to California? Join us Thursday on MPT. Thanks for watching Direct Connection. Have a good night.
This program was made by MPT to serve all of our diverse communities.